Hi guys, today we're going to talk a little bit about main idea. Our I can statement for today is that I can determine, which means to figure out, the main idea of a text or passage. So that is part of our reading of informational texts. And that is when you're reading something that is nonfiction and you are trying to figure out or determine what they're trying to teach you. What is the meaning of that small text, or what is the meaning of that passage? So why is that important? So let's talk about that a little bit. One thing is that if you're reading a book for a class or a project, then you need to know what they're trying to tell you, what they're trying to teach you, so that you can share it with the rest of your class or the rest of your group, so that your project can be complete. If you can't figure out what is going on and what the meaning of what the main idea is, then that will be challenging for you as far as determining that main idea so that you can share that with, like I said, with the group or the class or whatever. But don't worry, because there are tricks to help you when you're reading that you can it'll help you learn, help you figure it out. First thing to do is, whenever you're reading a passage or a book, is to look at all the pictures, all the titles. They can give you great clues as to what is going on and what is the main idea, what the main idea is that they're trying to tell you about. Something else is to make sure that you read closely all the sentences, but especially the first sentence and the last sentence, because they tend to really give you extra clues as to what the subject is going to be about. Now, throughout the reading, you can look for key words. And if you're reading a text that is in paper form, you can underline those. Or if you're working on the computer and reading something, you can digitally underline those words or circle those words and go back to them to help you figure it out. So right now, I'm going to read something to you. I'm going to read you a small passage from a book this book is about sports, but this passage is about the Olympics. So the book I've chosen is the Big Book of Why. Okay. So this right here is the page I'm going to read to you, and it is about the Olympics. So see, I'm not just going to look at the picture, because there's a nice big picture here. There's also a little bit of text up here that is not a part of my passage. So I'm definitely going to read that, because that might help me. That might give me some extra information. It says, did you know the Olympic torch has been transported in a number of different ways, including scuba diving? So keep that in mind, because we're going to be talking a little bit about the transporting of the torch when we read our passage. Okay, so the title of the passage is, why did a flaming torch, which is on these, why did a flaming torch become the iconic symbol of the Olympics? Iconic just means important. It's something that you see together all the time. Whenever you talk about the Olympics, you see a torch, because there's always a torch associated with the Olympic Games. We have the summer games and we have the winter games, but you're always going to see the torch. Okay, so the question is, why? Why did that torch become so important and such a symbol for the Olympic Games? Okay, so here is our text. It says, every 4 years, when the Olympics are held, a torch is lit in the ancient Olympic Stadium in Olympia, Elis, Greece. Now, Greece is where the Olympics started. The Olympic Games began in the country of Greece. The flame starts its relay by touring Greece. So a relay is like, you've heard of a relay race? Well, a relay is just a track of its path of where the torch is going to go. It starts in Greece, it starts in Olympia, Greece, and it starts to make its relay or its path around the country of Greece. So then it is transported, which means it is moved. So Greece is an island, so it can't, it has to be taken somewhere other than a car. You can't take it in a car because you're on an island. It's usually transported by plane. Now remember our little snippet of information up here. It said that it could be scuba diving. Scuba diving is when you have the mask on and your air tank and you're under the water. So at some point, this torch was moved by way of a scuba diver, but not normally. Okay? It says that once it is carried on the plane, or sometimes, no, so it's transported by plane to whatever country happens to be hosting the games for that year. So if the games are in the United States, then it will go from Greece and will come here to the United States. If the country that happens to be hosting is England or Russia, it will go straight from that country of Greece where it started, and then it will take to that country. Then it takes another relay or another path all the way around that country, the host country. Now, that can be by horse, by camel, by walking. It really just depends on what's going on in that country, what happens to be the most popular way of travel. But it doesn't ever mention anything about an automobile. So it always is going to be like a runner or somebody riding an animal, not going to be a car. Okay. Olympic torch. Once the last runner gets to the stadium where the games are going to be held, then that person goes up and lights a giant torch. That is a structure that it was built. It's not going to move. So they take the little torch that they're carrying and they light the large structure. Okay. In that torch, this torch, the permanent one, burns the entire time the games are going on, the whole time. It says the flame itself. So this fire represents to Greece, to the people of Greece, death and rebirth of their Greek heroes, the heroes that they've had in their country over time and in ancient times when the games started. So that's what that fire represents to them. So now let's think back to what we just heard and read. And I wrote down some of the key words that I found, and let's see if it can help us determine what the main idea is. So definitely Olympics, and I'll share them with you here. The torch, the ancient stadium. So we know it started in Greece and it was very important to Greece, and they have shared the games with the world. It says in the first sentence that it started in Greece. The last sentence tells us about how the fire on the torch represents ancient Greek heroes. So we know it's very important to Greece. The flame travels through the country of Greece, and then it's transported to the host country. Then it is carried around that country by horse or camel or runner walker. The last runner carries the torch up to the permanent structure that was built and lights it. The games are going on the fire is going on for the entire game. The entire game. So what do you think we could gather or figure out? Because remember, our I can statement, which is what we should be able to say when we are done with this lesson. You should be able to say, I can determine, which means to figure out, the main idea of a text or passage. Okay, that's what you should be able to do by the end. We're not there yet, so. But using what we just read, what can we think the main idea is? We know we've talked about Greece and the torch and how it's moved from one place to another and how it lights a permanent structure at the games for the whole time the games are going on. Now remember back to our page in our book where, if I can find it again, here we go. Remember we had these little snippets about how scuba diving was the way they transported it. the question, why is the flame such an iconic symbol to the Olympics? Well, the main idea is going to be what answers that question. Why is it such an iconic symbol? It's an iconic symbol because it was important to the people of Greece. It started there. It's the symbol of their ancient Greek heroes. It's important to them. They've shared it with the world. The flame that burns during the game it goes for the life of the games, and then it goes out. So that is going to be the main idea of this particular passage, is that the flame represents things important to Greece. It's a part of their ancient heritage. Okay. So now what I'm going to have you do is I'm going to have you go to either one of two things, and you can choose. You can go to Epic, or you can go to Scholastic, and you can choose a couple of different nonfiction texts, short ones, or if there's a book like I had that was a bigger book, that it was just a book of facts, and you can look through that and find a couple of passages or small nonfiction books and read them and try to go over those things that we did to find the main idea. Remember, reading the first sentence and the last sentence. They're going to give you extra clues. Don't forget to look at the pictures and any other, what I call snippets of information, just like any extra writing that happens to be on the page. Also, don't forget to look for keywords, okay? And if you don't have a way to underline or write them down or circle them on the computer, write them down on a piece of paper. And then go through those and see if you can figure out the main idea of the things that you've chosen, okay? After that, I want you to give me an exit slip. I want you to tell me your comfort level of how you feel with your confidence of saying this I can statement. I can determine, which means to figure out, the main idea of a text or passage. Is it 1, I got this, it's in the bag. 2, okay, I think I got this, but I'm glad you're going to be available for questions, because I will, I always am. 3, no, I will try, but I'm not making any promises, but I will try, but I'm still kind of iffy. Okay, so show me that on an exit slip, and then after you've done that, I want you to go to Freckle, because on Freckle I have assigned for you specifically a passage that is on your level, that you should be able to read completely on your own and answer the questions to determine the main idea. Now, what if you say, Mrs. Shaw, remember I'm at ELL and my English language is Well, I would go to Epic, because Epic has books that will read. You can read them in your main language. They also have books that will read the story to you or the passage to you, so that you can, if you're, you listen, your English listening is a lot further than your English speaking and reading. So there are options. I would definitely go to one of those if you have any challenges with, you're not comfortable reading it, you don't feel like you would get everything out of the passage to make that determination. Okay? So those are the things I want you to do. And like I said, I'm always available, so you can get in touch with me. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to work with you with those passages on Epic or Scholastic, so that I can be right there and we can do those together, especially if you put a number 3 on your exit ticket. If you put a 3 on your exit ticket, then you and I will probably be doing some more passages together. And that's fine, because we don't all learn the same. So go ahead and take that on and
Let me know how we go. All right. I'll see you later.